Welcome to From a Certain Point of Skew, the only Star Wars podcast so committed to the listenership, episodes may have been watched at 80 miles per hour on the way home with the iPhone propped up on the dashboard. Who did that? Well, that would be me, Jason the Angry Ginger, or Jason the Ginger Jedi Guy, and I am broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios. I am not alone. Please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers. First up, in my studio, to make me not alone, is my neighbor from Corellia, neighbor Cole.
Streaming Disney Plus at 80 miles per hour ain't like dust and craps, boy.
No. This is like this is new sequel era shit right here. That's what I do.
You know, that's very, very responsible of you.
Hey, you know what? I do what I have to for the show. I told you I had interwebs problems today.
I see in your future
the
like,
words already aren't working.
What's that flashing? And then all of a sudden, boom, you fly into a supernova.
You know how many times like I had visions of like just driving off a cliff, and there's not even a cliff that I drive by.
More so than usual, or
I'm locked into this, and I was like, I probably should look up and pay attention to the road.
Borderline suicidal.
Turn the wheel back.
Every time I go down the road, I want to jerk the jerk the wheel into a goddamn bridge and bump. Thanks for having me on the show, Jason.
You're welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to be your number 2 for all these years.
I appreciate it.
And for the recent episodes as well. Past and present.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the future. What about the future?
Future is undecided.
Okay.
Who knows who may quit the show.
We'll see how this episode goes.
At any time.
Yeah.
We do have a third micer who we love, adore, and cherish. He comes in hot from the hyperspace lanes.
To be argued.
Oh, which part?
That he's loved or he comes in hot. Take one or the other.
He's always coming in hot.
Well, he's definitely loved by the Podawans network.
Oh, listen, we said we were not going to fight today. We made a truce.
I didn't get that memo.
Well, Matt and I were talking about you
it's
behind
the only
your
thing that's going to keep me awake tonight.
Our third micer, no mystery there, but his name is Matt, Darth Matthews. Welcome to the show, Matt. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So, Jay, you will be speaking to me directly this time?
Yeah, I think, we'll start the show and we'll see how it goes. But, you say people call him Darth Matthews. I'm curious, has anyone ever called you that?
No.
That's sad.
Just you guys.
Maybe sometimes his lady friend when he's feeling particularly panache.
And he has to beg her. I told you to call me Darth Matthews.
I don't feel comfortable with it.
Don't look at me when you say it.
This face paint's really getting in my eyes. Yeah. I told you to get the grease free.
I think, by the way, if you are committed like that, Jay, to driving home and endangering your life, if you do get pulled over, you got to sway that guy or that gal into following the show.
Oh, yeah, they at least have to listen because, who doesn't, the story is going to be told, right? So they're going to want to hear it from, like, my point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Do you guys pimp other people out when you see them in public with a Star Wars shirt on, or a guy was wearing a Boba Fett hat? I said, hey, cool Boba Fett hat. Why don't you listen to our podcast? I do that shit all the time.
We got cards ready for you.
Nice.
Yeah, like I'll see someone with a Star Wars, or a guy had, what is that stupid fucking vehicle that...
A TIE fighter.
Something Force. Maybe it was a Force or something. There was a cool vehicle that had a Star Wars custom license plate on it. I'll think of it, and later on in the show I'll interrupt everyone.
Oh, like a real vehicle on the road.
Rogue. It was a Rogue. It said Rogue One on the license plate.
Okay.
Nissan Rogue. And I said, hey, cool. Do you ever listen to podcasts about Star Wars? He's like, no. I was like, well, you should. Here's the name. Here's the info.
Check it out.
Do you go like geeky, or do you like try to like outmuscle him? Like, do you bully him? Which way do you sway?
I alpha male him.
You should really listen to our podcast. Or do you grab him by the collar? Listen, motherfucker.
Yeah. If I run into you again.
Yeah, if I run into you again, you better know my name.
I'm gonna be stalking these aisles here at Walmart.
You've got 2 weeks to write a review, starting now.
I inject something into his arm. Now I know where you're at all times.
So anybody who would like to find our show that isn't already here, from a certain point of skew.com. Find us on Twitter at FACPA Oh my God. And factbapod@gmail.com, because you can send us some Maul Bag entries, which we were able to get a couple kind of in the 11th hour. So really appreciate people pulling that out at the last minute. Really
I like that last minute pressure, know.
The
really I saw that. I didn't do it this week, but I saw you put it out, so I retweeted it. Yeah. And the emails, you said we got a couple. So kudos to you listeners. And those that didn't send an email, well,
maybe it's one of those things where they hear it and they go, oh, well, I got a week. But if you hear it and I only got a couple hours. Then maybe that's better.
Well, that's what they do. If they don't send an email, they can tweet along. They can write a review. There's things they can do. Let us know that you exist. Also, for Christmas this year, we want listeners. So you have to tell a friend this year.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's what our gift. That's the gift we want.
28 days to start bringing us Christmas gifts.
Spread the life day cheer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Good point. What do we got on the show today?
On the show today, we've got a question of the week. We're going to discuss sequel trilogy characters returning, news, Empire Magazine, Book of Boba Fett feature, and more. Then we're going to hit the Star Wars Rebels. That's our meat and potatoes. Season 4, Part 1, Episodes 1 through 8. And then we got the Maul Bag. It says 1 email, 1 voicemail, and only 1 winner. You shouldn't have wrote that last part, Matt. And then we wrap it up with a Factoid, which looks like it's Christmas with Bon Jovi and R2-D2. I'm curious because I've not scrolled down that far, so it's going to even be a Factoid to me.
All right. It'll be fun for you.
Yes.
Well, so the question of the week, let's kick it off there. There was an interview that is coming out, and we're going to get into the Empire Magazine bit here in a minute with the news stuff, but Kathleen Kennedy hinted at the possibilities and kind of discussions around some of the sequel trilogy characters potentially coming back in some form. So her quote was, "Certainly, those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on, and those are conversations that are going on with the creative team as well." So my question to you is, which characters do you think will return, and in what projects, and which character do you want to see the most?
I think Finn has like probably the biggest story they can play with, both character-wise, and there's just so much we don't know or wanted or they fucked up, so they owe it to him. It's probably the only way they'll get him to come back. You're not getting John Boyega for a cameo. He was kind of fed up, so it's got to be a huge amount of redemption. Rey, I think I could see her popping up as a surprise like Luke at some point, even before we see whatever they do to carry on. Those are the two for me.
Now help me with my timelines, fellas. Poe Dameron would be really would he fit into the
sequel trilogy?
The one he's already been in, right?
After Luke Skywalker.
I understand. Okay. I was asking where would he fit in? Would he fit into when's Rangers of the Old Republic going to be?
The New Republic.
New Republic.
Maybe a younger Poe. We don't. How long? He was.
So Poe Dameron, fucking like comeuppance, like his backstory, like why he's a badass, why he's such a good pilot. You know, some of that information.
There's nothing on the docket. That's my concern when I thought about what she was inferring. Was I was like, what project are you going to put him in that we know about already? I don't know that there is one because it's all stuff that's like in the era around, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, et cetera, and going back. So that's kind of most of it right now. I mean, as far as future stuff that they would actually be of age to be in, there isn't really anything. The Rangers of the New Republic would be one, but of course it's delayed now, so we don't know when that's coming out. Rogue Squadron is pushed back, so I'm not sure where they would put somebody unless they're coming out with a brand new series that we're unaware of.
Well, I still hold on to there's going to be 3 more movies, and it wouldn't surprise me if Favloni finished the series up.
You're living on a prayer.
That could happen, and
it was always structured by Lucas to be 12, I believe, right? There were 12 chapters.
I believe that's correct.
So if they wait a decade, they're all a little bit older, and they bring them back. By then, they'll be beloved, and The Last Jedi will be considered the greatest Star Wars movie, like Empire Strikes Back. So,
I don't know if it'll be quite there.
Well, you look at like all the reviews back in the day, and Empire Strikes Back was hated. So
there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
This doesn't bode well for the whole rumor camp that they're saying that they're going to take 7, 8, and 9 and make them non-canon.
It ain't going to happen.
That's never.
They've made billions of dollars. Like it's got its haters, but it's already got its lovers too.
It's kind of a slap in the face to the fans if you do that. Like, hey, remember how you guys all forked over about $4 or $5 billion for these 3 movies? We're just going to say they don't count now.
Well, I think this series is fixing some plot holes, right? I think we're going to get more of that, and I think like when all of a sudden some of that stuff is filled, and it'll make the sequels, I think, look better in the long run, and then they can go from there and move the story forward. There's no fucking way that they're done with these characters. I don't see it.
I agree. I think if you see Finn, I think they could potentially do some sort of one-off short series with him to show his backstory. I think I could see that happening. I could see Poe being more of a cameo kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And then if they do another trilogy, then I think you're going to see quite a bit of Rey in that. So anyway, that's that news. So as I mentioned, Empire Magazine, there's an issue coming out, and it's dropping on Thanksgiving Day, the 23rd. And so there's a bunch of stuff in there. By the time this episode airs, it'll have already been out. So we'll discuss it maybe a little bit more next week when we actually have all this stuff, because there's little snippets that have been released. Yes, we have a question.
Yes, me in the back. Did you say it's coming out on Thanksgiving?
Correct.
Who the hell's fucking driving around dropping magazines off on the newsstand on Thanksgiving?
I don't know how that all works. Put it this way. Everything I've read, which this tells you how much prep I do, I look at like headlines and stuff and just try to breathe through them. And it was like the January episode of Empire coming out on Thursday, November 23rd. And I was like, what? None of that makes any sense. But regardless, I think online you're going to see it on the 23rd. That's my understanding.
Okay, well, it's the 23rd today.
Is today the 23rd? Oh, then maybe it's 25th, I guess. It would be Thursday. Thursday is the day. Sorry.
Well, 60%, ladies and gentlemen.
Fuck, timelines, man. I feel your pain, Cole.
My head's going to explode. Someone help me.
2 days apart. Timelines.
I don't know where I'm at.
There was this little bit I pulled out of an article, and it said, among the topics discussed in the interviews, they will address the show's old school mobster influences. This is talking about Book of Boba. That teaser at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, the Boba projects that never came to be, the process of creating a fleshed out character to match the iconic armor, and much more.
Fleshy armor.
But that's not it. In the new issue, Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni will also talk about future projects, including Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka, among many others. So I think you're going to see a lot of quotes that are going to make people, stir and stew.
Right. It's just going to be like, just enough to be like a dick tease. Also, I did hear that this is the episode that it's got Kathleen Kennedy's centerfold in it.
Wow. She just re-upped for her 3-year deal.
Yeah,
and they're like, centerfold, do it.
Did I put that in the chat that I thought she was looking like a MILF at one point? Was that? Or
I think you said it last week on the show.
Was that in my head?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Did I dream that?
Go on.
Well, she was looking really cute in that photo. I was like, man, she looks like, I don't know, it sparked like some deep lust. And
you're
stuff.
single. You're single. You like Star Wars. Shit can
I
happen.
would say she's beyond cougar. I think she's in her 60s.
Fine by me.
Well,
That
I mean,
still
I would
counts.
say for her 60s, she doesn't look bad.
I'm getting that pension. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going for.
The pension.
She's the cougar. I'm the
he has a penchant for her pension.
pension.
The Lucasfilm pension.
A real panache.
Yeah.
For her,
if you will.
for her pension.
Oh shit.
Do you think people, like, I haven't seen much on the Twitter sphere of people bitching about Kennedy re-upping again. Do you think they just got worn out? Like, they're done? Because the prediction is always, she's done with her job. And then when she re-sides, everyone's like, oh, what the hell? And then everyone else is like, ha ha. And I didn't see any of it this time.
Yeah, I saw one speculation was that she wants to be there when they do the last Indiana Jones. So that's why she re-upped for another 3 years.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the case or not, but yeah, I mean, I guess if that's the drum you're banging, that, oh yeah, Favreau and Filoni are going to take over.
That's how Cole looks at her. It's the drum he's banging.
Skin tight as a drum.
They're going to take over, and she's being ousted and pushed out, and all this, all this stuff. When you say that so many times and it doesn't come true, then I guess at some point when the contract extension comes out, they probably go, okay, I need to stop like trying to make up this bullshit rumor, and sorry, Mike Zero.
I mean, yeah, no shit. I feel like the woman's been around in Hollywood for a long time. She knows how to run a business. Yeah. I think she's done more good than bad, even though people will argue that, right? Times are changing. No one's willing to accept that. I feel like because she's so like out in the open, she's judged so much harder than somebody like there's a CEO of how many companies, no one knows their fucking name or what they do, how many fuck ups there are, whether they lose a bonus or get a bonus or have to re-up a contract, but for some reason this one always makes the trades.
Well, yeah, because look at the fan base that is following her every move, and so when people get disappointed in things like some of the stuff from the sequel trilogy and all that, they want to direct it at her. They want to say, oh well, when Disney took over and she took over, that's where everything kind of went south. It's just somebody's going to get that target, But I think you're right. I think she's done more good than bad. And I think, I don't know what else people are wanting as far as, like, I guess you could say maybe the creatives that are involved, they would have more beef potentially because it sounds like maybe she micromanages a bit.
Right.
So that might be, I think the biggest gripe would probably be with the filmmakers being like, oh, I feel like I got the reins pulled on me a little bit by her. But other than that, I don't know what people are bitching about.
Well, yeah, they were saying what's-her-face backed out because it was like a committee on every single decision being made, and then like it was all corporate.
That could be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, when you've got a story group that like tries to keep track of these characters and the continuity and everything, or what they're building toward next, sure, you need a director that's going to come in there that's competent in running a crew and has a vision that can make these things happen. But also, some directors don't like to be beholden to any of that. They want complete creative control. You're going to go into this property and you're going to have to play nice. You don't get like, I think JJ got a little bit more creative freedom.
I think he did
because of who he is, and also, he was starting it out. Now they've tightened the reins quite a bit, and I think they know where they're going. Like a decade ago, Disney was like, "We bought this, fucking let's drop this, let's go into this. What do you got?" And now they've had quite a few years to build off of that and know where they're going. So, they've proven it. So,
yeah. Well, and you want to talk about how directors like to come in and not be beholden like that. It's the reason George Lucas was went out and got all that funding and did everything he did so he could make the movies he wanted to make his way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a history of that with this franchise. In itself.
I think they're still considered the most expensive independent film ever made. I think the Phantom Menace was completely funded privately.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I guess like Jesus Christ, Favloni. Favreau, I'm assuming they just are such big names that they kind of can. I don't know. I don't see anyone telling them really what to do or how to direct. You know what I mean? I feel like they have so much creative control and they got so much chops.
I think they're steering the ship. Yeah,
they'll steer the
ship. At this point.
But some lesser name person comes in, they're like, no, we need you to follow along like this, or this, and those guys will be like, no, this is what it's gonna be. This is why, because I say this, right?
I think Filoni has all that success with the animated series. Favreau comes in and has done so well with Marvel, and then comes in and they both share the success of Mandalorian. They're in a good
marriage.
position.
Yeah,
they got chops.
Yeah,
they've proved their mettle in the Star Wars universe.
I will not argue that, Cole.
You would be a fool.
Take that back to Corellia.
I shall.
Well, speaking of animated shows that Dave Filoni has worked on, we can move on to season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, the final season, which is kind of sad to a degree. Going through this, it's been fun to get caught up on all this stuff. I've forgotten a lot of storylines that I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about this character or whatever. So it's kind of sad that it's coming down to the last season, but it's been fun doing it. So we can kick off with the first half.
Even though I know the end story beats, this is all new to me so far, going into this. So I've enjoyed watching this. Also, kudos to the animation. This is I'm noticing a little bit of an upgrade. I don't know if you guys have, we talked about the Clone Wars, and on this, there's a couple of things I'm like, oh, this has definitely gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think they get better as they go, for sure. Mm-hmm. Season 1 had some moments that were like, ooh, but I think they've done a good job.
Not as choppy, a little bit more smooth. Lightsaber battles are getting better.
Let's get into this. Episodes 1 and 2 are the Heroes of Mandalore, parts 1 and 2.
And it starts off with a bang because it's Sabine, stepping out of that little trench and then showing off the Darksaber and leading an attack on that compound. So
yeah,
right
big
into
old prison. Mm-hmm.
Real William Wallace-esque, riling the troops behind her.
Well, less of a speech, but yeah.
Less of a speech, yep.
You don't need to say much when you get that saber.
Yeah.
I like how our father ends up being Shakespeare. She fucking saves him, and he's like, oh, I knew it'd be you. Now, how's your art? And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
So that's this premise, right? They're Sabine and the crew, they're all in this World War I trench. They're doing trench warfare in a galaxy far, far away. Mm-hmm. And they're springing her pops from the prison. And Ezra's got this jetpack on because apparently he's a wannabe Mandalorian now, and the hijinks ensue with the jetpack.
Can't wait. I want to be included.
It's just crazy. So he's having his crazy hijinks, he can't get the jetpack to control properly, and then
loop-de-loops, and
of course we saw coming from the beginning. It was a trap the entire time, right? The Empire was just lying in wait, and he wasn't even there, right? Her father wasn't even there at the compound that they attacked.
Did you notice, though, those rocket troopers come in again, which we saw last season, and it got me thinking, remember in The Rise of Skywalker when they start flying and they go, they fly now?
I think that every time. But, maybe there's only a platoon or whatever they're called, there's 300 of them. Yeah. It is a large galaxy.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll let that slide.
You'll allow it.
Yeah, but I every time I'm like, come on. We're seeing them fly all the time now.
They're like the Green Berets of the Imperial forces.
Right.
Special forces.
Yeah, you don't know they're there until you're dead.
Navy SEALs.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the trap, which was set by
It's a trap.
not Gar Saxon, because he gone, but his brother Tiber Saxon.
Yeah, I was trying to catch his name,
Tiber.
and I just called him the other Saxon. The other Saxon.
That worked.
Anus Saxon.
Saxon number 2.
Yeah. In come the baby walkers and reinforcements because they're, the rebels are doing a good job. And the funny thing is, at one point, Ezra and Sabine go running by the baby walkers, and I'm thinking, lightsaber.
Yeah.
Cut the legs off. We've seen this several times in the show already, but they just ran right by and then made it harder for themselves to defeat the baby walkers after that. I didn't understand that maneuver.
Yeah, doesn't he run in front of one and then one holds him at gunpoint like immediately thereafter?
Yeah. It was bizarre. They nearly capture Sabine, but then in comes Clan Kryze and helps them and forces an Imperial retreat. And that's when we see Bo-Katan again, who we met in the Clone Wars, and who then, of course, we will later go on to see in The Mandalorian and in live action.
Who Bo-Katan is the sister to Satine, who used to be the leader on Mandalore, but they were overthrown by the Empire.
God, look at you.
She was named regent by the Jedi, and she didn't keep allegiance with the Empire when they overthrew.
What kind of notes you got over there?
I put stuff down. I'm able to put my tablet in front of me now and type as
Who
I'm
was she the lover of?
Satine?
Allegedly.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Good.
2 for 2, boys.
And Fenn Rau introduces her as such. He's like, she's basically the rightful leader of Mandalore.
Yep.
He's like, keep that in mind. So she immediately, Sabine's like, oh, then here. This Darksaber's yours.
Just a little bit.
I've heard all about you. I got this for you.
All the other Mandalorians who do not want to be assassinated because we're not going to do the trial by combat, please turn around while I hand her this Darksaber.
I am curious as to how they're going to explain that away in the Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because she, we don't know how she lost it, right? So is she still the rightful owner? I don't know. She found it, so it doesn't really belong to her. I'm wondering if it's just going to be something as simple as that.
Yeah, it could be, and we'll talk about that here in a minute because it does lead into the Mandalorian and kind of what's going to happen and how Gideon got it and all that kind of stuff. But so she's like, I don't want it.
Right, she refuses to take it.
Yeah, I'm not the leader you seek, is what she said.
She said, I had my chance to rule and I failed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just kind of does that, walks into the camera and past it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done here.
And then Ursa, Sabine's mom, says that they're moving her father to the capital, Sundari, for public execution. So time is of the essence. And then Hera and Kanan have this exchange where they're talking about their missions, and it turns into this little subtle lovers discussion that causes Chopper to basically say, "Get a room, you two." Did you catch that?
Well, it's very much like, are we talking about the same thing here? Well, I was talking about, and then they're interrupted, and I'm just like, oh, come on, you two. Get it on.
Get it on. This will continue to happen every 3 episodes.
And every time I'm at the edge of my seat like a soap opera. Give it to me.
Mm-hmm. We get one. We get one a little later.
We do.
Alert.
I will not lie. I stood up and clapped.
I salute
my man.
Kanan clearly he's reached a point in his life, having been blinded and such, maybe, that he's like, I really need to start sharing my feelings with her. So he's definitely trying to do it more and more as the season goes on.
He's like, I'm so sick and tired of being in the fucking friend zone. I got to start
Well, that's the thing. Is I thought they were a little further along than we're starting to see, right? I just assumed because, she's sort of like the mission takes precedence, and he's like, well, the Jedis aren't supposed to have material things and love and all this stuff, so he was trying to fight it. But I thought there was a little something when the lights go out and you've had too much to drink, you just I didn't know my hand was on your ass, one of those things.
Yeah, when the holocron's rocking, don't come a knocking,
right?
Something like that.
I mean, we know he wasn't in his room last season.
You know what it was? The holocron was probably actually recording, and then she caught wind of that. Like, motherfucker, I didn't give you consent.
Yeah, he's already posted it on the HoloNet.
The dark HoloNet.
Sex tapes out.
XNImperialXN.com.
So the plan is to jump the convoy and free her dad. So we get this big action sequence that kind of highlights just how terrible everyone is at shooting, because their aim is awful on both sides of this battle.
And then later on in the season, Sabine just dead eyes somebody from fucking 100 yards with a quick draw. Pew! Shoots a droid right in the fucking
Yeah, she does.
beam.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, come on, you guys.
The 8th episode, yeah.
And I just want them to just either commit to killing people or commit to just like, maybe there's the rating system, like they can only have so many violent
You can only
deaths.
kill robots.
Right. But like you see him opening up of season, like, what was it, season 2, where Ezra like slashes a stormtrooper and it shows the line and he cuts another one's head off.
You're right.
But then now they're all just like,
Every once in a while you
I
get
can cut this guy's head off or I can force push him into a trash can.
Right.
Like, it's just like,
yeah, it's not consistent considering that it's an animated show. They do show some darker, more adult type themes at times, but I don't know. But Ezra makes his way, so they're like, the plan is basically to single out the transport that's got her dad on it. And so Ezra makes his way on that transport and frees Sabine's dad. And I like how he goes, "Are you with Sabine?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm with her. I mean, I'm not with her." So
that was a cool scene though. Like I like how Sabine gets on a speeder at some point, even though she's got a rocket pack, but she uses it as like a shield, almost like a Western when like their cowboys are riding the horses and they get on the side so they can't be shot. She's using it like that. And Ezra is like in the undercarriage of the transporter and just totally guts it. So he can get into it. Like, it was really fucking, like, the whole scene was really well executed.
Yeah, it took so many takes to get that.
And there was a lot of it that reminded me of the Mandalorian episode.
Oh, yeah, I could see
that
that.
same transport and they go down and the TIE fighters come through the canyons after them. And there's a lot of it that looked very similar.
Yeah, true. Good point.
And then you get Chopper coming through, playing
he
the
fucking
trailer.
murders someone right here, too.
He hits him he pistol whips a fucking stormtrooper. Oh, that was great. I love Chopper. He's fast becoming my favorite character.
So then Sabine and Ulrich, that's their dad's name, have this nice little reunion exchange. And then, of course, he starts getting into the whole art thing. Your art's coming along, but, you still copy the pre-whatever. He's like criticizing her. And then Bo-Katan mercifully is like, "Guys, we need to move." I was like, "Thank you, Bo. Let's move this along."
And then to me, we get that shot. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom. And it's just that bubble fort of the villains,
right. Yeah.
That's what struck me right away.
Yeah, it did kind of look like that. And then that's when we get word from Ursa, from Sabine's mom, and Tristan, her brother, that they've defeated Saxon's forces, only for them to send in the baby walker with the Duchess weapon that Sabine apparently had created, and it just disintegrates anybody that's wearing Mandalorian armor. Oof.
Yep. So leaves nothing behind but ashes and their armor. So it's like, holy shit.
And so when part 2 kicks in, you find out that luckily Ursa and Tristan were out of range, so they didn't die. But here comes the Saxon crew, to finish them off. And so Bo-Katan's ship kind of swoops in and saves them.
Yep. TIE fighters coming in. Like, it just, the fighting just keeps like getting larger and larger. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they have to, and then Bo-Katan and Ezra jump out the back and use their jetpacks and take out a couple of TIE fighters. So that was
another was almost ripped. I mean, well, I guess the Mandalorian was. Some of those shots were almost like, you know what, we storyboarded this a while ago. Let's just go back and use that.
Yeah, it's the finale of season 1 with him fighting Gideon. It's almost exactly the same. You're right. So Tiber does a demonstration, Tiber Saxon, for Thrawn of kind of how the Duchess locks onto the Beskar alloy and the Mandalorian armor and instantly vaporizes them, but does not target the stormtroopers.
I love how Thrawn shows up as a hologram to watch a YouTube video of what just happened previously.
Just send it to me.
Yeah. He wants to critique live and in person.
Yeah, right, exactly. He wants Saxon to see his response, his facial response to his
visage.
Action. Yeah.
So the weapon basically uses an arc generator blast that's draws to the Beskar, so anyone wearing Beskar, and then it superheats it and vaporizes the wearer, and so then like the stormtroopers can just prance about willy-nilly with no real side effects or immediate danger.
And this is where we know this is Sabine, we know she created. This is the weapon that she had created for the Empire a while back when she was making bad decisions.
Right.
Of course, and then we find out also like I have a string of bad decisions was you named it the Duchess. You named it after my sister.
Named after my sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how she's like, I was young and arrogant. That's no excuse for making that weapon. Like that is a pretty specific weapon that you were creating that goes right against the people that you grew up with.
Well, speaking of bad decisions, Saxon Jr. is what I like to call him. everyone around him was like, hey, what's going to stop the Empire from using this on us eventually? Unquestioning loyalty, sir. My faith in the Lord above will protect me.
And then he goes full Emperor on his fucking number 2. Just like the Emperor just electrocutes him. And it says something about the Emperor, I report straight to the Emperor. He's trained me or whatever he says. And I'm like, oh, he's definitely under his like spell.
Yeah, I mean, even Thrawn was asking him before, like, isn't you're kind of going against your own culture here, like even Thrawn's like, are you sure about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you really want to do that?
So, what does loyalty mean to you?
Well, speaking of loyalty, that like Ezra brings up the point. Why don't you guys just take the armor off?
Right.
Oh my God, it was like a record scratch.
Yeah. Like, this stuff is 500 years old, and I've molded it to make it my own, but we just don't abandon our armor. Okay. Well.
Bo and the Wrens look at him like, the fuck did you say? Like, yeah, you out of your mind?
Ezra's like, I thought there were no stupid questions.
Well, enjoy being superheated to your death.
Right.
Enjoy having your blood boil inside.
I do have a struggle with the ease that it took for her to just manipulate the weapon. Also, I can understand like, oh, we can make this thing kind of detect Beskar and go after them, but PVC piping, come on.
There's something specific about that Empire armor. There's something in it. There's some sort of chemical or some sort of marker in it that allowed her
Element
to switch
151.
Which was like, it reminded me of like Superman 2. It's like when he goes inside the cave and he pushes and Zod and all his people get their powers zapped instead. It was like a reversal that they weren't aware of at the time.
Fortress of Solitude?
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
Then it turns into the Ark of the Covenant, because when that thing goes off, it's like shooting into everybody's chest. It looked just like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was like, I'm just seeing all these movie parallels.
See? Now you're getting your murderer.
It's BPA free is what it is. That's what it goes after. It goes after BPA free products.
Then what happened? Oh, she hits it with the Darksaber. So she's kind of thinking at one point, Sabine's like, we're going to use this against you guys. And Bo-Katan actually has to be the voice of reason. She's been ruthless her whole life. She's like, that's not who we are. So she's like, you're right. So she takes the Darksaber and smashes the reactor on the device and blows that thing up, which then takes down the destroyer.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's a little sidebar between Rao and Bo-Katan. They're kind of talking about how Sabine is like, exhibiting the traits of a good leader and being the best of what they used to be and all that. So I feel like there's a little bit of foreshadowing there, maybe.
Well, I think that discussion and what Bo-Katan says to Sabine was the foreshadowing, because she kind of shows her leadership. Well, you're right. She's been ruthless this whole time, but like at some point you got to still stay within like your rules as a people.
Right. Yep. Yeah. You lost your way.
Yeah.
Yep. So then, like, the end of the episode comes, and then they got like all the clans are standing out in front of the exit from the building, and they got Vizsla, Rukh, Kryze, and the Protectors, and then there was like another clan. They're all gonna
unite the clans.
Unite us.
We stand by you, Bo-Katan.
It's my island. They're all gonna stand by Bo-Katan, and kind of the culmination of the episode, she does what? She accepts the Darksaber.
Yep. So now she is going on becoming the ultimate ruler of Mandalore. She will rule with an iron Darksaber.
Well, I want to get to that in just 1 second. I just want to point out something fun that kind of relates to our last episode. So the gal who says, I'm Clan Rukh, that is Bonnie Wild, who is a sound designer at Skywalker Sound. So that's that example of what we were talking about with Annalise, where these people who are working on these projects get pulled in and get to do these little bit voice parts. It's that's awesome, cool. Man.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I'm counting on you for a voice coming up here too, because I meant to look and I didn't. I was like, oh, Matt will have it ready for me.
Here's what I do. I look at the credits, and as long as it's somebody who I know, if it's just like, oh, this is a voice actor who's done 572 parts, then I'm like, well, whatever. But if it's somebody that's more specific or an actor we know, then I definitely. My understanding is that there's this great purge. They talked about it in The Mandalorian. There's this great purge of Mandalore, and I think that is when Bo-Katan loses the saber, and that is when Gideon gets it. I think that's meant to be the storyline. So she's going to carry that Darksaber until that purge happens, and I'm not 100% sure of the timeline of that purge, but that's how he ends up with it.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure that out.
Yeah, Cole's got timelines on lock.
Okay, perfect.
Next week, we want the story of the Darksaber.
I'll have it.
All right.
All right, in the name of the rebellion, So the crew comes into Yavin.
I thought you were asking us a question.
No.
The name of the rebellion?
Just the next episode.
It was the Whistler's Rebellion. Pickett's Charge.
I've been where Pickett's Charge happened.
Yeah, Gettysburg.
Yavin 4, which looked kind of cool to see it in animation.
Yep.
I love that I'm getting so much, like I'm figuring out the names of stuff now. Like, oh, that's Yavin 4.
Sticking
see
with
it
you.
in episode 4.
Yeah, right. And so they come in and they kind of realize, holy shit, there's a lot of people here. Like we got a lot of different rebel cells who've come together. This rebellion's kind of taken some shape, and we see like Hera and Wedge coming in hot in their Y-wings,
just smoking from the ass.
Yes, and just
I had the exact same terminology written down in my notes. Hera and Wedge with some Y-wings coming in hot. It's the exact same thing I wrote.
Well, of course they were on a supply run, so you know, as you do.
I mean, when aren't they?
Right. And they are coming in, they land in this like crazy, sequence.
They crash land.
Crash land, yes, exactly.
I think they really miss out with Wedge because, he thinks he's probably the best pilot ever. I'm the only one who fucking survived both Death Star attacks. So he can just be like, every time someone tells him to do something, I'm the best pilot in the Empire. Mumbling, grumbling on his bath. He
walks off. I was both Death Stars.
He hasn't done that yet, but I can see that happening.
You know what? I'm going to take down 2 Death Stars, right?
Yeah.
Coming up.
And every now and again, he says that, and somebody goes, you bailed on the first one. Just
you weren't doing any good back there.
Yeah, you took off.
Sorry.
Luke didn't even finish his sentence, and you already had bailed out.
He fucking walks around wearing a T-shirt, destroyed 2 Death Stars, and all I got was a stupid shirt.
All I got was blame for the first one.
Yeah.
Call it 1.5. I mean, Porkins gave more to that Death Star destruction the first time.
He gave his life. What did Wedge give?
And he had just confirmed that he was
But then Wedge shows up to fucking blow up a Starkiller base, too. Like, anytime you need to murder a robotic planet.
Wait, no, Exegol.
Exegol, I'm sorry. Yes,
right.
My bad.
He wasn't there for Starkiller. So they kind of crash land, and then Callus comes out rocking that new Rebel casual gear.
Right, he's got like Han Solo's catalog on.
Are you in my notes? Like, I'm serious.
They're in the cloud. Cool. I can see it all.
Shit. I got to really do some editing. Hang on.
I mean, he's straight up Han Solo with a beard. That's all he is.
Yeah. It's a good look.
You could say that.
He's even letting, how he was like, had the, he's got the big chops. He's even letting the midsection grow in a little bit. He's not shaving that tight. The Empire isn't around to make him shave that tight every day.
The grooming standard with the rebels is far less.
Little looser.
Far less stringent.
He doesn't have to wear that stupid wiffle ball hat anymore. Her helmet.
Helmet, yeah.
And they come in the room. And he's like, Mon Mothma wants to talk to you. She wants a word. So they go in that room, and it's the all too familiar Yavin 4 base that we've seen, of course, in A New Hope. And then obviously General Dodonna's there as well. We know him. You feel us getting closer and closer to this familiar space where we first saw Star Wars, which is really kind of the cool thing about this season.
Yeah, and so they kind of get a little bit of the backstory, or not backstory, but a little bit behind the scenes, like you were saying, and then Mon Mothma takes a moment to pull Ezra to the side and being like, hey, giving him the business because he's out there advocating for return to Loth Hall. We made promises, Ryder and old Joe are depending on us and this, and this. And she's like, oh, stop being such a little...
You promised.
Oh, stop being so selfish, dude. There's like 500 million systems in the galaxy that we're trying to, cover. And we can't just focus on Loth Hall and my own home planet.
Yeah.
Right.
So she kind of gives him the business, tells him to grow up.
But they learn of this satellite, this relay, right?
The Jalindi system.
Yes, and that's they're deciding what they're going to do with it. They're going to blow it up, how they're going to deal with it, or do they just kind of hack inside of it and then they can know where they are before they know where they are.
If you catch it too, yeah. They Saw Gerrera. They talk about Saw for a little bit too. He's out there apparently just torturing their prisoners. Like, we don't torture prisoners at this base or something like that. And then that kind of leads into Saw has like an infiltrator droid on Yavin 4 that just comes up and puts out a hologram and starts talking shit, and him and Mon Mothma getting a little Ben Shapiro, Bill Maher
They both
debate.
start waving their fucking liberal dicks around.
Yeah, they were hammering each other. I loved it. And I love how he's like, hey, so when you lose, I hope you enjoy that moral victory you got by playing by the rules. Congratulations. It's like, oh, like hitting below the belt there.
Yeah, she like stomps. She's like, you break all the rules of engagement. You're no better than the Empire is what she says to him. And that's when he comes back with basically how will it feel when you lose when you played by the rules.
Right.
He's willing to do anything to win. And he even says that. Is it in this episode? Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Or the next one.
History is written by the victors, and
right.
we can just erase the war crimes we're committing as we do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And guess who buys right into his bullshit?
Ezra.
Yep. Of course.
If it's not a pirate, it's Saw Gerrera. He's going to follow to the fucking death.
He just needs a good father figure in his life, you know? Like,
well, his father figure is blind right now.
I don't know if you guys know, but his parents
Not
were
with
killed.
ambition.
I mean,
His parents were killed. Yeah.
he's blind from not being able to masturbate, or too much masturbation, because he's apparently not getting it from Hera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't even get her like any kind of loving from a hologram of her.
Tentacle
I feel like Kanan masturbates, but like never to completion. So that just makes it more frustrated. You know what
edging.
I mean?
They call that edging.
Yeah, edging. There you go.
The Jedi Edge. he
So
lives
they
by
have
the
such an edge?
He lives by the Jedi Edge.
Title of the episode.
So the plan is for the ghost to come in high above the relay there and then drop Sabine and Ezra and Chopper down so they can like kind of rocket down into it. And this is bananas. Like they go flying in there and they're swinging back and forth on that dish.
Yeah, on the dish.
It didn't seem like the best of plans, let's just say. And they're supposed to go down there and install this
I
repeater
feel like
spike.
Filoni fell asleep watching GoldenEye.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Totally.
Like Pierce
Yeah.
Brosnan on a satellite dish. The SETI system is what it is, right?
Yeah. It looked very much like that.
And then our old friend Brom Titus comes in. Ezra tries to impersonate him. Like, oh, this is Brom Titus? No, this is Brom Titus. What's your call sign?
I love that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't last long because he goes down. But
Is this the one where fucking Chopper goes up to a stormtrooper and just like spins the arms 100 miles an hour and like judo chops that stormtrooper's helmet 100 billion times before he can even fall backwards?
I think that's this one. I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, he jumps up and just does a brrr.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
on the cargo ship one.
Oh, maybe it is.
I think that's what you're thinking.
Oh,
Might
okay.
be.
So the TIE Defenders come out, the ones with the shields and the new TIE Defenders or whatever, and they're chasing the ghost. Kanan takes them into the fog and guides them around with the Force.
This is a whole, you trust me, don't you? I always have. I know. I'm like, okay, you two.
Well, and Hera says earlier, she kind of voices her opinions of like, we need to hit the Empire harder. Like she secretly doesn't say it in front of the others, but she kind of says to Kanan, like, we really need to fucking hit them.
Yeah, like after the doors close and it's just the two of them. She's like, damn it, Ezra's right.
Well, she's a good officer.
Yeah.
She doesn't
Right.
voice her
She really
displeasure in
is.
front of her troops. There's a chain of command. She's expected to follow it.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
No, I hear you.
we gotta follow the rules here, even in the rebellion.
But who comes in?
So Guewa.
Saw
With his,
motherfucking
like,
Guerrero.
scissor wing ship. What's going
on a
on here? That
U-wing,
ship's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
What's
I
that
love
cat's
those
name
wings.
flying it with looking like Plo Koon?
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked. His name is Edrio Two Tubes.
Oh.
2 tubes.
Edrio Two Tubes. Like
He's got
oh,
two
boy.
tubes. One for each of you.
Yeah, we see him in Rogue One a bunch. So
Yep.
but we can't really understand what he's saying. He doesn't speak basic. So
So yeah, he saves their bacon, picks up Ezra and Sabine, right?
yep. And he dumps some bombs off. They blow up and blow up the whole satellite dish, which in turn blows up the light cruiser, which was trying to like kind of guide its way in. So bye Titus. That'll be the last we see of him.
Yeah.
Eek tu brute.
And then they jump to hyperspace. They're coming out of there, and Hera's like, "Give me my people back." And he's like, it's too late. We got to go. Sorry.
And he
Gone.
starts working on Ezra right off the bat, and Sabine a little bit. Saw starts giving.
Well,
him
did
the
you notice how
pitch.
he makes it like sort of where Ezra has the decision? Well, what do you want to do? Well, we might as well just get out of here right now.
Yeah.
So he's already got him in his hand.
Right. Absolutely.
And then he's like, oh, by the way, I need your help with something.
So that leads into
The next episode.
part 2 of the episode. So Saw, Sabine, and Ezra stow away on a cargo container, headed to the Empire, and they don't know exactly where it's headed. Oh, they find out it's going to the Taunus sector, which is basically empty space, and they figure out that there's a cargo bay, 17 restricted area holding Imperial secrets.
And as the ship's landing, Sabine's like, hey, Chopper, you need a paint job. And in 14 seconds, he looks like a fucking taxi cab.
She did that to prove her mettle as an artist to her father.
Okay.
You know?
Good call. Good call back.
Take a selfie.
He's like, where are you now, Dad?
How do you like my aesthetics? Are my lines and color pleasing to you, Ulrich?
Get back to your painting, Dad. I'm going to be sitting here fighting a fucking empire.
Ulrich's the only pacifist Mandalorian that I've ever met. He doesn't have no armor, just sits there. I'm more of a paint my numbers type fella. You guys take care of the battles. While you were gone, Ursa, I cooked some nice cookies for you.
Exactly.
Make some nice Mandalorian cookies. They're shaped like your Mandalorian armor.
I fluffed the pillows in every room.
He's a beta. He's a beta cook.
He's a beta. They don't talk about the beta Mandalorians too much.
Oh, at one point, Saw does say, like, hey, remember what we learned about on Geonosis? Like, I think this is related. He is hot on the trail of
the Death Star.
The Death Star. And so he's like, we got to figure this out. At one point, by the way, too, Chopper, this is a bad idea. Like, just clear as a bell.
Could there be, like, if they laid the hints down any more about this fucking Death Star, I'm waiting for, like, every character to pause and wink at the camera. Like, you know what we're talking about, right? Like, giant kyber crystal the size of a fucking Buick.
I'm glad
is in this thing.
I'm glad you guys put it together.
And then, like, all of a sudden, wait, you didn't put it together? They name dropped Jediah, the kyber crystal. And then, but I love, like, how all of a sudden he zaps them and they wake back up and oh, you moved it over here? And I'm like, how the fuck did he move it? And it's just on this little. He's got it.
I like the fact that they find those prisoners, by the way, the techs. The one guy, they're like, who are you guys? He's like, oh, I'm Mitch Matt. I was like, oh, what a terrible name for Star Wars.
It's a Star Wars.
And my name is Matt.
In my notes, I've got sex trafficking. Yeah. They open up a fucking.
But you're right. They're hearing something about the Jedi system, which is likely where the cargo came from. So yeah, again, wink, wink. This is all Rogue One kind of stuff. This I think came out about a year and change after Rogue One. So it's still kind of hot on the minds of people, I think.
We get to see the Chopper play the petulant tour guide this entire episode, where he's taking them to the fucking escape pods. Oh no,
you're a kind little droid.
It was almost a Scooby-Doo, like in one door, out the other. You just needed the music because, like, nope, you're in, you're out. Nope, follow me. We're going over here. We're going over here. We're going to close you in here. Nope, we're hiding over here. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
They're all grumbling too, like, what's going on here? You know, you were just prisoners to the Empire 5 seconds ago, so shut up.
Yeah, you were just in a cargo thing. But yeah, they're so appreciative of what he's doing because he's being like way too pleasant about it. And they're like, oh, you're such a nice little droid. And I think at some point you hear him like mumble, oh, if you only knew, I'm actually a murderer.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually,
So Ezra keeps hearing this song that he keeps saying, I'm hearing that, like, it sounds like a song, and he's drawn to this door that when they open is manned by death troopers that they defeat, although except one gets away. And that's when they find, like you said, the massive kyber crystal.
I thought that they were going to be in there listening to a Bluetooth speaker, just pumping some Bon Jovi.
Well, the interesting thing I thought about it was the song thing. That's something we hear referenced by Avar Kriss in the High Republic, talking about like the song of the Force and all that kind of thing. You hear it,
yeah, right.
And I think he said that's how he found his kyber crystal to make his lightsaber as well. So, little callback there.
Now, who's the woman that voices the Death Trooper? You didn't have it.
There's a woman who does a Death Trooper, and I'm trying to think if it was from the last episode or this episode, because now we're in the second part. And her name is Jennifer Hale, and she's the one who played Ayla Secura.
Okay, so it wasn't
that sexpot Twilight Jedi, you know. But I think I wrote that down, but I didn't write who it was. That's how good my notes are. But yeah, so they then that trooper that gets away says something about inform Krennic. So there you go. It's just all.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, you didn't hear that?
I didn't hear it. No.
Yeah, she says inform Commander Krennic or whatever his title is. I can't remember.
So this is back when he was still doing the flashback they show, or was that Operation Cinder, right?
Cinder's later.
Right. Okay. But this is where he was not in charge of the Death Star shit yet.
I don't think he was in charge. He was just ISB guy who was doing. Yeah. Right. Yep. And then so Chopper realizes at the last second, oh, they're like destroying the escape pods. I should probably get these people off. Like, get the fuck off.
Yep.
Jettisoning the pods into hyperspace, basically.
Yep. And then Ezra and Sabine go to disable the hyperdrive and pull them out of hyperspace, but Saw stuns them because he wants to know where they're going.
Yeah.
He wants to get to the bottom of this. He's like, screw you. We need to see where we're going here.
He says, I've come this far. I will learn the secrets of my enemy.
Yep. So then they get to Taunus, and there's only a Star Destroyer. And Saw triggers the crystal to become unstable by shooting at it. And that whole thing starts to go. And Ezra and Sabine go after the techs. And Ezra orders Chopper to signal Hera to come into Taunus to like pick them up.
Well, there's the whole thing where like he's trying to convince Ezra to stay on the team or to work with him or whatever, and then he's like, no, I've got to save these prisoners. It's all about the prisoners. And he's like, they have a discussion about, well, you got to do what needs to be done. So he's like, okay, so you're not coming with me. Then he shoots the kyber crystal. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna come with me? It's like, what do you got on this kid?
Right.
So they double back and get the shuttle, the big.
Yeah.
It's the commander shuttle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're getting away, and then Chopper had called for Hera and the Ghost to come in and save their bacon, but they understand that they're not going to get out of the blast range and quick enough, so they go behind
the Star
the
Cruiser.
Imperial Cruiser as the cargo ship gets pulled in.
And another one of those famous Star Wars explosions.
Something's going critical mass.
Yeah.
And Slavin, who was the guy we saw in Ryloth back in the day, he was the guy who was the commander of that ship, and he gone now too. A lot of those dudes are dying.
Doesn't pay to be an Imperial officer.
But the Techs decided to enlist in the rebellion, so we're getting more engineers.
Yeah, they hadn't seen their family in 3 years, so then, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just join your cause. I don't want to go home.
So back at home base, we get the prisoners decide to join the cause because the rebellion's always recruiting, and then there's a discussion about what are they going to do with the giant kyber crystal, and can it even be weaponized? And Kanan's unsure of what the hell the use is of a giant kyber crystal.
Right. So, the occupation.
Episode 5.
Say, Ezra wakes. Beginning of the episode starts out. Ezra wakes up. He's got having nightmares basically about old Joe and Ryder, and having a bit of anxiety about the Lothalians.
More foreshadowing to we got to get to Lothal.
They're suffering. People are having problems. Ezra wants to go to Lothal and help his people, and he wants to stay for good this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then Mon Mothma shares that transmission from Ryder Azadi that's cut off, where basically he's saying there's a new TIE Defender being developed.
Yes, because that's what the planet's being used for. It's a giant TIE fighter factory.
And then guess what?
Guess who's back?
Puffer pigs are back.
I was going to say Vizago, but okay, Puffer pigs.
I like how they're like, oh yeah, Vizago gave us the information. Where did he get it from? From Hondo. We're like, oh.
Here we go again. Even when he's not here, he's here.
Yeah.
I like how Zeb's like, I can't get anywhere near them. Too ugly. He just sits off in the shadows like a.
Well, yeah. Did you hear what he
child.
said? He goes, I guess I have like a scary face or something. And then you hear what Rex said? Like at least yours is unique or something like that.
Right. It's like, what is
he
that?
Goes,
clone
is that a clone
humor?
joke?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's great.
Yeah, they're gonna pay Vizago to get them onto Lothal because he's operating, some sort of.
He's a smuggler. He knows how to get past still.
Exactly, get past.
And this is correct me if I'm wrong because I watched all 8 episodes today. But this is the shot where you finally see Lothal and it's just on fucking fire.
Yes,
and it's completely.
It is not looking
and this
good.
isn't like we've got 4 ships guarding the one sector of the planet. Like the whole planet is surrounded by giant spherical fucking. They've posted up for a while. There's ships everywhere. There's no getting in or out.
They listen to our fucking 360 tactics.
Yep.
They're tired of getting outsmarted by going to the backside of the planet.
Yeah, but the whole thing is just a wasteland. It looks awful. It's in lockdown. I do like the fact that they have to dress up, and Hera looking good, girl. Got that tank top and the fucking choker.
You noticed that too. Yeah.
She's
a little Twi'lek tease there with the choker and a little something on her neck.
I mean, Kanan looks ridiculous, but he looks like he's got like old timey like World War I.
I know, and then they get in this conversation where they're running from the stormtroopers, or they're hiding in this corridor break off, and they start having one of those moments again. And I'm like, dude, you're not gonna get any with those flappy ears. Like it's like he's got one of those those fucking hats with the flaps on the
lumberjack
ears.
hat.
Yeah. I'm like, no, this isn't gonna happen. But it came close. There was almost a kiss.
Very close.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, come on, Kanan, get some.
Could you imagine them suiting him up to blend in? And he's like, what are you putting on me? Don't worry, it's going to totally work. And they're like, look at this guy. Laughing at him.
He doesn't know because he's blind.
Yeah.
He's got a serape on. Multicolored.
They split up, and Hera and Kanan and Zeb go to find transports, while Sabine and Ezra go to Old Joe's, which they find is now being run by Baron Valen Rudor Fuckstick.
I love how he's just like, come on, I know we can go into here, it's safe. And they walk into this bar and it's nothing but fucking stormtroopers, and then it's ran by the Baron.
A bit of a nod to the Nazi Hitler youth.
Yeah.
I'm Baron von Ruden. That fucker's SS.
Which we've seen very much so, but we've seen him before, right?
We saw him, I think, in season 1, because I think at the time I told you guys we see this asshole later.
Okay.
I knew
He's
he
an
came back
Imperial.
around.
He's an Imperial.
He had like a
ace.
record for like kills or some shit, right?
He was like the German sniper from the Inglourious Bastards, right? Like he was the fucking supposedly the best sniper.
Yeah.
So they gave him his own bar.
And then what he must have fucked up or no, I feel like he got that bar because he did something wrong.
I feel like he was a celebrated war hero, so they gave him as a reward. You got a tour duty, you get your own bar now.
Okay. On a burning planet. Here you go, buddy. Good
Enjoy
job.
this bar.
Yeah.
By the way, only Imperials are going to come in, and maybe only like 2. So it's going to be pretty
And
dead.
then, what the fuck is going on? Like everyone, there's a curfew. No one's allowed to be out. The stormtroopers are stopping anybody. You see this couple getting yelled at, so they're trying to avoid everything. And then these two, like, well, let's just walk into the Imperial bar. Let's get a drink because they already saw us. I'm like, how are they not fucking busting curfew?
I don't know. Maybe if they're in the bar, you don't care as much. You're like, whatever. I'm having my drinks. I don't give a shit about arresting somebody.
They had their vaccination card on them.
Oh, that's what
there
it was.
you go.
They were able to go.
But the sad part is we learned that old Joe has been executed.
Yeah.
The Thorian Bark, the owner. So that was sad. And by the way, just when Kanan is about to plant one, you mentioned this on Hera. It's the beep from Zeb. So the first time it's something else. This time it's the beep from Zeb. Later in this season, or in the first half of the season, I think it's Ryder who interrupts them. It's a throwback to the interruptions that we see in the original trilogy with Han and Leia.
Oh yeah. Will they? Won't they?
Yeah, right. Ezra gets nearly gets in trouble leaving the bar without paying, and then Jai Kell shows up, who we saw back in season 1 when he was at the academy. And again, another guy who's just hanging out there in a booth. He wasn't getting harassed for being out after curfew.
Right.
And he's clearly part of Ryder's, rebel crew. So he's like kind of plays it off. Here's the credits. These are my friends, blah, blah, blah. Let's get out of here. And then Hera and crew pull up in the speeders to get Ezra and Sabine, and they're being chased by troopers. So they
chase
head
is on,
for the
yeah.
sewers.
Back to the sewers, and they're getting chased by probes. There's a whole sewer escape scene. They somehow make it up a ladder while they're surrounded by
How ridiculous is it?
stormtroopers.
Like there's 7 of them running down the streets or whatever, and they run into a bunch of stormtroopers who are running toward the explosion to where the speeder chase, like whatever, and they're like, oh, they went that way.
Yeah, right.
Fucking stormtroopers
Saw some
like
rebels.
shoulder budge one of them, and they just keep going. I'm like, really? That worked?
Yeah, too easy.
He's like, we don't have a make and model of the vehicle, so we're just gonna run right past it.
Yeah.
So they see Sabine's symbols, artwork, rebels artwork, and so they start following them. Yeah, and it leads them essentially to this escape hatch that they climb out of, and there, lo and behold, there is Ryder, revealing that
He's alive.
they need to plan this attack on the TIE factory. He's like, why? Where's the rest of you? They're like, no, this is it. He's like, what the fuck? He's starting to get real pissed about being kind of stuck on Lothal without any support at all.
It's sort of that the way Ezra was feeling, right? Well, he was under the impression like, there were reinforcements coming. This planet was going to be saved and be part of the Rebel Alliance, and it's so far gone, they're willing to just lose it. But now with the importance of this, because this is where they discover, like, not only is it a TIE fighter factory, but we're going to find out there's a brand new TIE fighter in the mix.
Right.
Which brings us to Flight of the Defender.
Flight of the Defender. So, those adorable little loth cats, right?
Like, I thought I was watching an episode of the Teletubbies. Like, all of a sudden they're hopping up and they're all cute and adorable and they're running through the grass and all this. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And then, like, the camera kind of follows them and pans away. And then all of a sudden you see all of them laying down in the grass, looking over the cliff at the whole
compound.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that was but of course, I see why they opened up with that, because we do not lose a loth cat in this episode at all.
Yeah, so this whole episode, intermittently, fucking Ezra's having communing problems, like communing issues with like the wolves and the loth wolf and the loth cats, and like there's something amiss, and then you hear some howling off in the distance, and there's a wolf that he can see and no one else can see, and it's like, okay, there's going to be some sort of animal bestiality going on here soon enough.
I like the fact that they show at one point they're on comms to Hera and Kanan, who are back at like Ezra's old communications tower spot, spying on the city, and I'm thinking,
like, that's like that tower's still going to be fucking standing.
That's one, or it should be, dominated by the Empire. But also, I'm thinking, like, is he even getting hand play in there? Like, they got time to kill while they're sitting there. There's got to be some action going on. Nobody's around to interrupt them.
When the kids are away, you play.
Right.
Put Hera up on that console and go to town.
In comes the Defender, and the little kitties get pissed.
Oh, is this where like they're like, how are we gonna distract these stormtroopers? And the cat's taking it upon themselves to go over there, and one of them fucking shoots at the ground, and the cat goes crazy at him. I was like, oh shit.
I love how they carried that joke all the way to like almost the end. They show those two troopers still trying to chase down the cats. They're like, oh, we lost them, and the defender goes right over him.
It was like the guy in Con Air that ran out of his plane. He's just running out into the desert at the end of the episode.
Right. And Jester's there. Jester's back. Volt Scaris.
Volt Scaris.
He gets a little play again.
I was going to say, so Sabine gets a bug up her ass and decides that they need the flight data recorder. They completed their mission, but she's like, nope, we can do better. And so they pull up this whole cockamamie scheme to get in there and like hijack the flight data recorder while the whole time she's in there just fucking around. Why don't you just steal the goddamn ship?
Well, that's what ends up happening.
That's what ends up happening.
You're right.
She figures it out late. Yeah.
I think they were trying to be a little incognito. You know, it's kind of, you know, when Thrawn lands as all this is going on. I love it because at one point she has the whole fucking unit. She's like, you know, I'm not downloading this data. We're just taking the whole goddamn thing with us. Right. And you're like, Thrawn's here. Oh shit.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah. So Jester's gonna take him over there to like give him a little demo, and so Ezra's like, we need to get the fuck out of here, and then he gets spotted. He's looking at that wolf. And that wolf kind of, I don't know, like winces or something. And he goes, what? And turns around and a pilot almost caps him from behind.
Just like he's got a saber out and he blocks. Yeah, just on time. That was kind of a cool, like he's like running and ducking and dodging and jumping over those big containers that never have anything in them.
Right. Yeah, it was a good sequence for him.
Trying to buy some time for Sabine, who ends up gets into the new TIE Defender and like blows up all the crates around him. He miraculously just like doesn't get harmed. And jumps into the tie with her, and they take off. And then Thrawn's like, ever the opportunist, Thrawn's like, send some, lower level ties after him. Let's test the capabilities.
Well, he shows up for the flight demonstration, and so she steals it. And he's like, well, we could still get a flight demonstration out of this. Well,
don't you love how just pulls his pistol out and is shooting at her? She's coming in. Yeah,
he goes straight fucking Joker in the Batman. Like he's just standing there shooting at the Batwing. I'm like, he's not going to shoot this thing down, is he?
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Patton, but it's the same fucking thing happens. There's like a German plane just comes flying in on him, and he's just shooting with a revolver. It's like, this is doing nothing. Like, what is this just your way of like showing you're stubborn? And
he's
you're
a fearless fucker, though, man. Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks with the 45, shooting at the tank.
Shooting the tank, right? Exactly. Yep. So I don't know. That was crazy. But so then he of course Thrawn, being ever the strategist, is like, send the pilots after the Defender. And we'll see how this goes. And then he starts deducting stuff based on the actions. He's like, well, they got rid of the transponder pretty quick. That's Sabine. Yep. He's like, those pilots would already be destroyed if this was Hera. It's got to be Ezra.
So
And then he says at the end, he's like, well, if Ezra, who's kind of as a pilot, can kill those guys, then this thing's pretty good.
Pilot 89, 90, 91. Need you guys to chase down the TIE Defender. Why us? We're going to get some action.
I love how she's like, we can't get off this planet. You know what? Here, Ezra, you fly. I'm stealing the fucking hyperdrive out of this thing, too.
Right. I know. I love that. Well, they needed it. They needed it for the U-Wing. Get the fuck out of there.
So then they crash the TIE Defender, and then Ezra, like fighting off the animal urges the whole time. He's like, they're carrying the hyperdrive. They end up hiding it in a little cave, and then they turn around, and there's a loth wolf. There's a loth cat riding a loth wolf. Just like straight up.
It just like pops up from the fur of his ears. Hey, what's up?
Yep. And then this thing apparently date rapes fucking Sabine because she just passes the fuck out.
Like kills it with its halitosis apparently.
It's like Nick in Cheers when he would like whisper in their ear and they would like pass out. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, he just goes sleep right in her face, just out.
And he kind of looks at Ezra. He's like, "Have you ever had a chance? Now's the time, buddy." I'm gonna go.
This is where I noticed like this whole season they keep teaming the two of them up.
Yeah, a lot.
So like I'm noticing there's a little bit of a love interest, of course, that we see, but we know Ezra's interested in her, and I don't know if she's finally figured out. Like, is this the whole like Padme Anakin, where she's like, oh Annie, like he's too young,
he's grown up,
all
now.
Of a sudden, one day she's gonna turn the corner and he's gonna come walking in, just like oh. She'd be like, oh.
She notices that he's wearing gray sweatpants.
Yeah.
She notices the bulge in his pants. Oh. Ezra, you're not a little boy anymore.
Let me get my
Tic Tac out. I'd like to do some of that line.
And what does the wolf say at the end?
Doom.
Doom. Yeah.
Well, Kanan, at the end of that episode, though, that's where Kanan starts piecing things together. And he says, all paths are coming together now. And Ezra's like, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know. We'll have to find out when we get there. So he's starting to see, like, you know, there's a reason why we keep ending up on. This is where he had the discussion with her again.
At the beginning of the episode, the next episode, he says that. Why do we keep coming back here? Why do we keep ending up?
He's
Why are we drawn
meditating
here?
again in the field. Yep.
And then we get my least favorite character of the entire season coming in, Rukh, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to pronounce it right. It's Rukh.
Now, is he like a mutated
Who fucking cares?
member of Zeb's like planet?
I hate him. This fucking stupid bulbous forehead.
He is called a Nogri. That's what he is. He's from some other planet.
Got the fucking.
He's the assassin.
I had fucking lung cancer or throat cancer. Fucking.
Now, how many people thought like when that fucking cargo bay, because Thrawn's sending his assassin, right? So the ship
think it's some
lands,
big
the
badass.
door opens, and I'm waiting for like one of the fucking 7 sisters or brothers or whatever to pop out, and all of a sudden it's this little alien dude.
Yeah. And a couple things. One, that is the safe word that he uses, Thrawn, when he's fighting his droids.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
When he wants them to stop.
Rukh.
Oh yeah.
You gotta really put the little
And-
more phlegm.
Do you know who Rukh's voice was?
Tell us, please.
Warwick Davis.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Willow.
Do you know who that is, Cole?
I do now.
Okay.
He was the Willow. He was the Leprechaun.
He was Wicket.
Yep.
A lot of Star Wars roles.
Nice.
He's also in a blink and you'll miss him in the episode 1 pod racer scene. He's on the sidelines.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. And he's in Solo. He's with what's her face? Yeah. That's always good when you say what's her face when you're trying to describe
Was
something,
he
isn't
also in Solo as the? I thought he was R2D2 back in the day when 7 Days a Geek.
No, that's Kenny
it?
Baker.
Kenny Baker.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rukh is already on the case because he lands and he's like, I can smell Lasat. I can smell
Yes.
Zeb already.
Zeb let a fart. Zeb let a fucking chili cheese
All he
fart out.
does is climb a giant fucking rock and hang up there holding the fucking hyperdrive until the coast is clear. I'm like, come on.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We all have our roles to play.
It worked.
Yeah, so yeah, Jai Krell and Ezra kind of get in a little tussle with Rukh and get away on that speeder. And that's when Zeb steals the trooper transport and gets out of there with the hyperdrive. So that all kind of works out.
And then what happens? We get a little sentimental Kanan talking.
Yes.
Looks like he's almost like he wants to retire, right? So he's really like professing his feelings or
What do you want to do after the war?
yeah, what do you want to do after the war? And he gets a big old smoocher.
Oh, I got in fucking bold letter. Finally, they fucking kiss.
That's right.
Did you like how Sabine like taps Zeb? Like, look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, fucking Zeb just smiles. That's my boy.
Yeah, Zeb's like, yeah, he's not gay after all. Finally.
Zeb's like already hit that.
Hera fucking like hits him with the "May the Force be with you" as she like gets in the ship to get through. And I'm like, oh, if that isn't a fucking like, I'll never see you again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's like, oh,
Yeah, that's you can't be saying that.
yeah.
But she has a cool little move where she goes into like a cargo bay of the construction globe transport thing.
Yeah.
That was badass.
And hits the hyperdrive or hits the hyperspace jump right then.
through
It kind
the
of like
ship.
lights everything inside on fire.
That was fucking sweet.
I thought that was
That
cool.
was basically like Admiral Holdo, except for
Survive.
yeah, she went. Yeah, she found a little
Find
door.
the hole.
So she kind of escapes off planet with the nav computer, right? Takes
Right.
that to I'm assuming going to Yavin 4.
Yep, Yavin 4, so then they can do the whole. Well, that's the last episode, right? That's where
At the very end, she does
Put-
deliver. At the end of this episode, she does
Yeah.
deliver it to Mon Mothma, but they break it down the following episode. And then the transport's blown up, right? So Ezra and crew are like, well, fuck. So they see the Lothal wolves again and follow them over, and they have this weird moment where Kanan comes forward, and there's this, the wolves are strong in the Force and all this kind of stuff. And they make their way into these caves, and there's drawings of people in the caves, and it turns out they're Jedi. And that's when Price orders the bombing while they're kind of making their way through those tunnels. And they do this weird thing where all of a sudden they're like walking free of
Through
like time and
space.
space.
Yeah.
It was very strange, and then they show up at this other area, and that's when
They end
Sabine's
up in
like,
the southern
"We're on the other side
hemisphere of the planet."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was
Swinging
kinda
on a
wild.
star across the
Which
planet.
I think is also foreshadowing to
War of the Worlds.
something else that's
Or
going to
War of the
happen
Worlds.
later on in the
World of
show.
Worlds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like in this rebel base on the other side of the planet without supplies, and they're in like caves in the side of a mountain.
Okay,
almost.
I have a question for that though.
Question.
Because I think it's the next episode. How do they find the transponder unit, the radio signals, and then all of a sudden they hop in a speeder and they're driving away? And I'm like,
They said they were able to scrounge up the transponder unit.
because it looked like people lived there previously.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. Hey, baby.
Yeah, that's a good point. We also get another like Doom call out by the wolf. He keeps saying Doom.
Yeah,
And that's when Kanan reveals, that was my name.
that was my real name.
Caleb Doom.
I thought it was Dune. Is it Doom?
I
Doom.
believe.
Dume.
Okay.
He says they're building the TIE Defender. It isn't the worst thing the Empire is doing here. I have this feeling that there's something more sinister at play. And so that's why it's like, okay, again, we're doing this wink, wink, nod, nod toward the Death Star. That's coming. And then we get into the final episode of this first half of the season, Crawler Commandeers. Ryder is, continues to voice his concern about their chances to fight the Empire because they have like no numbers, they have shit supplies, and that's when they can't get the transmitter to work. But they pick up that frequency of that ore crawler, which is like just destroying the surface for the sake of building up this factory.
This almost feels like a filler episode, except for there's a lot going on, so it kind of works.
You also get a little bit of the behind the scenes of how ruthless the fucking Empire was when they occupied a planet, right?
Yeah.
So they said they're surface stripping the entire planet for materials.
All of its materials and elements. Yeah.
Earlier in the episode, earlier in the season, I had a little crack because they're sitting on Mandalore and Sabine. They're sitting on a watchtower, and Sabine's like, "This used to be all like rolling plains and fields, and it was beautiful.
Right.
And this is what the Empire did to it." And then like Ezra comes back and sees his planet's on fire.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, and if you ever need any evidence as to what the Empire does to a planet or some way to like rally people to your cause, like here's some before and afters of Mandalore. Here's some before and afters of Lothal.
Right.
Like these motherfuckers don't believe in climate change. They're just going after it. They don't give a shit.
That's why Saw wants to fight dirty, because he's like, the Empire fights dirty and they do
Yeah.
dirty shit. So screw them. But back on Yavin 4, they're kind of going over the TIE Defender Elite stuff and how powerful it is and all that. And Hera wants to destroy the factory, but they're like, can you leave the room for a minute? We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like a scene from A Few Good Men. Admiral, we'd like you to step out of the room so we can talk about you behind your back.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But in the meantime, Sabine scouts out that crawler and they take out those security droids and they get into the control room. And that's when they find that captain, that reptilian captain, like rocking out with his Dre beats. And that is the voice of Seth Green.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, he can die because I hate that fucking.
I said that. Yeah, right.
Real quick, you do get some real like glimpse into the bureaucracy of the rebellion, right? Like what tied them, that weighs them down, like the decision making, and you almost want to have like a child between the old guard with fucking Mon Mothma and
Senator
Organa, and then you got Saw. There's the far left and far right, and you kind of want to meet in the middle. You want a child of those two people, and this is how you're gonna have to win the war. And I think Luke kind of gets them to there.
Well, I think some of it's like they're running off like the old ways of things, the way that things are done, because they say at one point, like, as long as we still have people in the Senate that think that they can get things done, even though Mon Mothma has cut herself completely off of it and she's all in on the rebellion, they still have that hope that the Senate, things will get done without war.
Right.
I think is a big thing, but also, yeah, you're right. Like, if you're this deep into the rebellion,
stop
then
following
you're looking
procedures.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The Senate doesn't get dissolved until early in A New Hope. So it's still their only like means of trying to get anything done, even though it's clearly not a good solution.
Local governors will have full jurisdiction. Remember? That's what they say.
That's
I think what's that? Tarkin says that.
Yep.
It's Tarkin, yeah. Yeah, so they take over that crawler, but they're being checked on, and Ezra's trying to do his fake voice with the S, with the snaky voice, and they're not buying it. So they're going to send out a crew.
You don't sound the same. Who is this?
Right, exactly.
I got a sore throat.
They lock Seth Green in a little room to keep him out of the mix, and then Zeb and Kanan go check on some communication or some signal that came from the back, and that's when they find Vizago again.
Yep.
And he's with a bunch of slaves.
I like the fact, like, everyone always used to crap on Han for, like, We're fine here. Thank you. With his improvised radio traffic, we got a slight reactor leak. Give us a moment to lock it down. But then you see everyone else when they get put on the spot.
No one gets to it either.
Like Ezra's like, oh no, you don't need to send anyone. We'll fix it ourselves. Like, you know, Han didn't do so bad, man. Like I thought he did pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think that line is hilarious. I love that line of Han's.
Yeah.
But yeah, they find the slaves, and then of course this fucking Trandoshan foreman shows up with his golden whip.
The foreman, yeah.
Ooh, that dude.
And that fight ensues. He and Zeb fighting each other was pretty funny. They're like hanging from that, from that ledge, and they're like just punching each other.
Did it just seem like they were just kind of like punching each other, but there was like like pillow fighting almost?
Yes.
It was like super soft, like.
My favorite was when he does like he's got the foreman's neck in his feet, and he flips him over, and he's hanging from this fucking railing, and the camera's just on Zeb, and all of a sudden a punch hits him in the face, and the camera slides over, and he's fucking hanging next to him on the railing. I was like, come on, this is ridiculous.
Stupid, man.
Well, then so Kanan saves him. Zeb's about to fall. He defeats the Trandoshan, but Kanan grabs him and saves him. He's like, yeah,
you're fucking heavy.
Yeah. But in the meantime, we see Mon inform Hera that, hey, we still haven't figured out what we're going to do about Lothal. Like a lot of deliberation going on.
We're going to need you to sit out here a little bit longer if you don't mind.
Just, do you need any water? You need any refreshments or anything? But then she reveals that there's like this new Empire plan called Protocol 13 that is an immediate evacuation of all personnel from an occupied planet.
Right.
So that sounds a little bit like Jeddah.
Yeah.
I would think.
They're all like, oh, they're finally just
because that's where they're going to test the Death Star on, right?
Right.
Get rid of the Empire so that way, right?
Yeah.
But like, what is from does Rebels go right into Rogue One? Because Saw does almost have that look, except for he doesn't have like the whole breathing apparatus, and he looks like he still needs like an ass whooping somewhere. Like we're missing that.
I don't know what the cutoff is, because the very end of Rebels, they kind of tell you what happens. Eventually, they skip forward.
Okay.
But it builds up to very close to A New Hope. Very close. And Rogue One.
Rogue One.
So refresh my memory on Rogue One was when they blow up Jeddah, they didn't kill the entire planet, did they? Because they didn't have the full power.
It was a city. Like it
city,
was able to like wipe out.
They blew up the city and all the surrounding area, because that's where Saw was.
Right. It wasn't because the Death Star hadn't been completed yet. It was still in the initial phases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he called it something like single reactor. Right. So it was it was a smaller blast. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Cool.
Still a big ass blast though. But then Hera is like, I'm just going to barge in this meeting. I love that, because Organa's like, this is a this is a closed meeting.
She's like the parent at the school board that won't shut up. Excuse me, your time limit is. I'd like to yield my moments to the speaker on the floor, please. She can have my
Hera goes Karen mode.
Now is Jimmy Smits doing the voice in these or no?
No, it's somebody else. Yeah, it's not him. I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Phil Lamar, or is that the?
You're letting me down, Jimmy. You're letting me down. Now, Jimmy Smits is in Andor, right?
That's what they're saying. I don't know. Did they confirm it?
I thought that was on a confirmed casting, but I'm asking because I don't remember.
They may have. Surely he's going to be in it.
Right.
How does Bail Organa die? Do we ever get that?
Well,
is he on Alderaan?
Well, I think he's meant to be on Alderaan.
I believe he is. Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't make it off with Cara Dune.
Oh. Maybe we'll find out like she shot him and ran. It was one of those like someone needs to be slower than me.
Exactly.
They're in a blurg stampede. Yeah. So she just fucking cuts his Achilles tendon and runs.
So the Empire sends in a crew to investigate, and they're like, didn't find anything, we're out of here. So they take off. And then the captain, though, gets away, that little Seth Green dude, and is like, I'm gonna shut this whole thing down and blow this whole place up unless you like put me through to the Empire. So Ezra has to go through the vents to get into the refinery and track him down, and they have this ridiculous fight, and he eventually slips on Ezra's lightsaber and falls back into the fucking thing.
This dude's
I feel like we didn't the one thing we didn't say to like the listening audience who maybe have not watched this episode is the whole point of going after this whole fucking thing was there's a antenna that's strong enough to reach Hera and
then they also decide once they get it, they're like, this could be useful for us in our attack, so we should keep this thing as well, not just use it to communicate. Right.
Yep.
Good point. I forgot about that.
Well, this lizard boy is like fucking super strong union because like anyone else would be like, you know what, fucking, just take the ship. I'll wait it out.
Yeah.
It's not my profits.
No,
It's
he's
the mining
going down
guild.
with this burger.
Well, he said that like the people before me, like my ancestors and the people after me, we all did this for the mining guild.
The mining guild. It's all about the mining guild.
The mining guild. Yeah, I don't know.
My child will carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. So then in the end, I mean, they're able to kill him, and Vizago thanks Ezra and the rebels and decides to kind of join and help the rebellion. So everybody they're picking up a lot of free agents here.
Strengthening their numbers.
Yep. And Ryder's kind of finally starting to believe that maybe they got a chance. He's starting to come around a little bit. And that's when Hera informs them that the attack for Lothal is a go.
Yep.
And that's where we leave
because she
off.
storms in there. We were discussing with Bail Organa, who's in a hologram form, but she she
makes her pitch.
She gives that soapbox speech that, we need to do this. Because the new TIE fighter that's being built has hyperdrive, has all these new weapon things or whatever, and there's a discussion that says, what's his name? The guy that runs on Yavin?
Dodonna.
Yeah. He says, it's questioned whether ship to ship, whether they could beat this new TIE fighter, and it's no, they can't. There's no way they could. Not their old
she's like, we
ships,
gotta nip it in the bud.
So this factory needs to be taken out. So that's why they're gonna go attack Lothal. Like Lothal needs to be.
And Hera's like, I told you this like fucking 24 hours ago, and you guys are sitting there, yanking on your dicks, like not and making a decision. So
if Ahsoka was here, she'd have backed me up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So part 2 and the end of the series will be next week. Looking forward to that. There's a lot of stuff that's coming up, a lot of emotion in the second half. Because that's the thing. There's a lot of build, but they really hit you hard with the emotion in the second half of this.
Oh, they're definitely planting the seeds. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to the Maul Bag.
I hear we got a few things in there. Thank you, listeners.
Hello there.
You've got mail.
Yeah, we sent out the call. Thank you, people, for answering. Our first one is from Ty from the Wayfinder Pod. He says, in your opinion, besides the obvious, what separates a Maul from a Darth Vader? So does he mean like how different are they really? Is that what he's saying? As far as their motives and all that kind of
I
stuff?
think he means just a wall on the Death Star, basically. They're adjoining bunks. That's where he used to sleep.
Like, who gets the bigger bedroom?
Yeah.
Well,
Who gets
Darth
the
Vader
master?
is taller.
The Emperor always made you his favorite.
One of them has a chest piece. One of them does not. Both have robotic legs.
That's right. Yeah, they do share their robotic legs. Both of them would have a hell of a time going through security at an airport.
One is a fan of the double-headed dildo.
Are you
One's
wearing my
a fan
pants
of
again?
the regular.
Get my pants off.
Dad, call me Palps. Palps.
I feel like Vader was the more invested into villain. Like he was supposed to be the chosen one, and then he ended up betraying all the Jedi, going over to the dark side. So I feel like he carried more weight. Like Palps had way more stock in him because he went to this. Palpatine went through this phase where he would just sell off his apprentice. He fucked over Dooku. He fucks over doesn't really fuck over Darth Maul, but Darth Maul.
Oh, he does.
He loses Darth Maul.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I guess there's that argument too. But he kind of camps on Vader for a long time, 3, 4, and 5.
I think he's
get a
almost
glimpse
like
into
got a mind control over Vader somewhat, and Maul is just like free thinking. I want to fucking murder everybody. That's the big difference.
Palps is like, I got mind control over Vader.
Yeah.
You tell me to be quiet, I'll be quiet.
Maul, Maul's a free spirit, and then knowing like where he came from and all that, and he just kind of finds out some shit that he has way different motivations. He just wants to fucking watch the world burn, whereas Vader's more like, oh no, this is my cause, this is my empire, blah 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 blah.
Now,
Maul had a brother.
As far as we know, he's not on the Emperor's map anymore, right? Like when he was cut in half and went down the tube, like that's it. Like
I don't think
Emperor's
Palps has any awareness of him, right?
Right. Even though he knows fucking everything. So actually, Maul would have been the fucking perfect Star Wars sleeper agent.
Yeah.
He's the one fucking person that could have had a one-up on Mr. I've 10 steps ahead of everybody.
Yeah, could have killed him.
Yep.
Could have been KGB.
That's all. I mean, that's my understanding of his questions. I hope we answered your question there, Ty.
I do too, Ty. Thank you.
Now, we have a voicemail.
Is this our, what do we call this? A hurry up and wait? What is this?
Okay, stop. You want to play some?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
Stop?
what I said.
Okay,
Yep.
this is from Rural Farm Boy. Thank you for sending this
Okay.
in. You ready?
Royal
Is he?
Farm
Do we hear the rocking of the chair?
No, you don't hear the rocking of the chair.
Okay.
There's his voice, though.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'll do my Pakpa crew. Jay, Cole, Maddie. It's RFB. Sitting home, sipping some spotchka on a Tuesday evening.
Attaboy.
Waiting for Mando Talk to get their live chat going.
How dare you?
He's shouting out other shows. That's okay. Hey, we're all one big community here.
Oh, yeah, you would say that.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the one. Blame RFB. He's like my pimp.
He read it up.
In Star Wars.
I hope he left a fucking voicemail to Mando show and be like, "Hey, I was waiting for your show, so I sent a voicemail to FACPA."
He does a lot for the show. I'm not gonna
I know.
knock him on that.
But that's our thing, right? Isn't our thing is to
Of course it is.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
Let me continue.
stop
Just seen
defending
in
the listener?
Twitterverse, Maddie posted, "Don't leave the Maul Bag empty-handed." And then Jay followed up with, "Send an email and message now." Oh, here's mine.
All right.
Put me to wonder, because some years back, I spent time in the 501st Legion.
This motherfucker was in the 501st.
Well, no, he did not say he was in it. He said he spent time with them.
Okay.
Time in the
Let me
501st
play
Legion.
the rest of it, and you
Play
tell
that
me
back.
if you think what. You want me to play it back?
Yeah. Did he say time with or time in?
Hold
Oh,
on.
my God. Are we going to split cunt hairs right now?
I think we are.
Some years back, I spent time in the 501st Legion
In.
Okay.
Now listen
Was
to
that
the
in?
follow-up.
All right.
as a stormtrooper.
Oh,
And also a TIE
well,
pilot.
Jesus.
And a biker scout, etc. A few other things. That put me to wonder. My FACPA boys. Not that you'd have to go and join the Legion.
Oh, we might. Can he get us in?
Yeah.
Or has he been banished? RFB, let us know. Did you get booted?
That's why he's like living out, off the grid in a fucking cabin.
He's in witness protection. Is what it
The
is.
500 persons looking
what kind of
for him.
sway? He left.
Yeah.
It's like the Scientologists. He left, and they wanted to destroy him.
If they know he's alive, they're gonna fucking share all of his secrets.
Undisclosed location. Here we go.
If you're going to, as it's said nowadays, cosplay something, what for each of yins would you choose? Would it be Imperial? Would it be Rebellion? Would it be Bounty Hunter? What would it be? Something you would want to do as a Star Wars costume.
What do you think?
My spirit animal is horny ventress.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
You think you can pull that off?
absolutely not.
I mean, that's going to be a tough one.
If anyone's going to pull anything off, Matt's got to be evil Paul Revere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think Dooku and his silk
Well, hang
PJs
on.
would just be an easy one to pull off.
We should answer for each other. Who do you think each one of us should be? I say Matt should
Okay.
be evil Paul Revere. Or we could just make him do Toro Calican just to fucking fuck.
You're going to be 3PO, motherfucker.
I would like the pre-keto version of you would have been the
Don't say
Ransar owner.
He was waiting for Java.
The Rancor owner?
That's, yeah.
Okay. All right. Cheers for that one. That was fucking good. Cheers. Okay.
I love the don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah.
I know what's going to come out of your mouth.
Oh, that's good. I just need someone's shoulder to cry on when someone, drives a spiked fucking bridge through my fucking pet's head.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You wouldn't cry if a pet died.
No.
Yeah.
Never in life. I mean, I guess no one else even gets a guess. There's no one that's gonna top that.
Yeah.
Holy
I don't know. Who would Jay be? Who'd you have, JS?
Oh, this ought to be interesting.
I'm trying to think of somebody.
Nobody wears
Rex.
glasses in Rex.
Rex.
I'm not old enough to be Rex.
Oh, come on. You could pull it off.
Cole could pull off Rex.
I'm
He's
younger
got-
than you are.
I know, but you got the arms. You're kind of fucking stocky like Rex. You just need to grow a beard out. A white beard.
I like how all my cosplays have to deal with my weight. That's
Okay.
not fair.
Okay, fine.
That
You're
was
Gregor.
a compliment. That was a compliment.
Gregor. Before or after he lost
I
his
see
mind?
Matt going all out and just fucking. He shows up like a full fucking blurg, like he's just inside of it.
That's a tough one to pull off.
I'm trying to think of somebody good for Jay. I don't know who I could pull out of my hat.
I think
for
he's
Jay.
a good clone. I think he'd be a good clone.
That's
Just
fucking
saying.
basic.
You're kind
I'm
of
Lando or nothing.
Oh, well, that's a tall ask.
It's a tall order. We already agreed no blackface, bud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Can't do that.
Robert Downey Jr. got away with it.
He did. I don't know that he could now.
He might have a little bit more. He might have a little bit more clout than you in the world.
All right.
Here's his last 15 seconds.
And I'm very much looking forward to hearing about all this in my playlist come episode 47. So until then, my boys, may the force be with all of you. See you on the radio.
May the force be with you as well.
Maybe the force be with Jens as well.
We hope you win the Darksaber.
Thank you very much, RFP. Love your voicemails. So good. That was a good question.
Always.
And we need more info on that 501st. You got to give us some more info on that.
Yeah, what was your position in the 501st?
I mean, he held several roles, but we don't know exactly how high he attained, and we don't know why he left. Why did you leave?
Yeah.
Or did he get ousted?
Or did you get ousted? Yeah.
I didn't know you could leave. Would he not pay his dues? What happens?
I don't
He was
know.
trying to play. He was trying to play half, and only in calamari flan.
His uniform was not exactly 100% perfect. They're like, you're fucking out. You're out of
Yep.
here.
He showed up with just the helmet on and a pair of bibbed overalls. And he
Not
kept saying
good enough.
yuns.
And a cape.
All right, we have one factoid. This is from Mike Laybourne. Thank you, Mike. No comment from Cole. John Bon Jovi's first professional recording was as lead vocals in R2-D2 We Wish You a Merry Christmas, which was part of the Christmas in the Stars album, which his cousin co-produced. His cousin's name, Tony Bon Jovi. Bada boom. He was credited as John Bon Jovi on the album. Bongiovi. That is actually how you spell his last name.
Yes.
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
This is real?
Yes. You look up on his Wikipedia page and it says it.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
The lead vocals in R2-D2's We Wish You a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I need to hear this.
Yeah. All right. That's our factoid. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for the worthless information.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. And until next time, Rebels Season 4, Part 2.
Never tell us the odds.
In our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
We have spoken! Monkey Boo.